Hello once again, I Play COD, and first and foremost, I'd like to thank the people that run the I Play COD YouTube channel for allowing me to post this. This is a domination gameplay on Summit, and as you can see, I'm using the SPAS 12. And first things people are going to ask are, why are you not using silencer? And the reason why I'm not using the silencer is because I'm a man. No, I kid. I like to use it. I like to use the SPAS without the silencer. For whatever reason, it just seems to do more damage for me a lot of the time. I'm one of these people when I use the SPAS that generally, if I'm using it with the silencer, I'm going to run into a lot less sort of fortunate episodes than I would with the normal sort of unsilenced version of it. Even though the silencer supposedly doesn't do any sort of difference to the gun, it sometimes does. For some reason, seems that way to me. But this is probably, I have to admit this right now, this is probably my favourite part of this game. And we're only in the first minute, and it's not because of certain things. It's because it's just the amount of ridiculous sort of situations that arise in this sort of little part of this game where I've just got the triple kill. My teammates who I'm playing with are doing a lot of the flag capturing. I've got 3 of my friends in this game who are pretty much solid at well, 2 friends and one of them is my brother. They're pretty much solid at capturing flags and carrying out that sort of effort, so I don't see why I need to be on basically rushing the flags all the time when I could easily be helping the team in other ways, such as pushing them back towards the spawn. And that's generally what my job or role is, as one of my friends calls it. One of my mates designates me the Slayer. Personally, I don't designate myself anything. I just designate myself the person that runs around like a madman trying to kill everything, like this. That's why I love this little part here. And yes, I have to pick up another gun because obviously I don't think that, as much as the Python is a good sort of secondary weapon, I don't think it's going to really do too much damage over distance, and pretty much give me the sort of ability to sort of get kills. And people are probably thinking to themselves when they've seen the score for this game, wow, your dogs and that must get lots of kills. And that's quite the opposite, actually. I think my dogs and my napalm get something like 20 to 25 kills in this game, all combined. It's mostly the Blackbird that gives me most of the sort of things, so it's mostly gun kills and knife, nades, etc. that get me these kills. I prefer to play like this, to be honest with you. That's kind of why one of the reasons I run dogs, because as much as the dogs sometimes can get a ridiculously monster amount of kills, it's not all the time they do that. I mean, there's some reckless stuff in here as well where I just go, I'm going to run out into the line of fire here and I'm not really going to care what happens. And the honest truth is, maybe I should care sometimes, but when I'm doing this sort of thing, it's a sort of impulse sort of style of play with a shotgun. I tend to do this sort of thing a lot with a shotgun. I actually have something like 3,000 kills with the SPAS, which to people it might seem like a lot, but when you've got over 100,000 kills, it's not that many. It's just like when I raised the issue of not talking about sniper rifles on my channel with my subscribers the other month, and I said in one of the commentaries, well, I've got about 3,000 kills with the sniper rifle, and that's not a lot. And it sparked some comments of, what? 3,000 kills with a weapon, and you're saying it's not a lot? Well, for me, technically, it's not a lot because obviously I have an obscene amount of kills at this point, which is over 100,000. And so 3,000 is not too much of a number when you look at the sort of full spectrum of it. And it's kind of funny because it provoked such a weird reaction. But as I said, I mean, I've got almost 3,000 kills with the SPAS. I've got a reasonable sort of number with shotguns. I've actually recently become more of a SMG sort of shotgun sort of player of late, because as much as the assault rifles, I do use them on some maps because you can't avoid that sometimes. Some maps in this game are designed for long range combat, some are designed for sort of short to medium range. So the assault rifles do tend to come out. The one map that I do tend to avoid on all of it is pretty much the map known as Silo. I do not like Silo. I think I've raised that point on my own channel quite a few times, that I'm not a big fan of the map. It's one of those maps where everybody seems to have corners to hide in, and it lags quite a bit. because of the way things, the processor's working and stuff like that, and it's generally not something that I enjoy too much. But basically my go-to map is, of course, this map right here at Summit. I was asked, what is your favourite map in this game? And probably Summit, to be honest with you. Summit is an absolutely fun map to play, especially in Domination for me, because I generally tend to find my way around the opposition quite a bit and absolutely blindside them and knock them down quite a bit. It's funny because it can be very, very difficult sometimes, and sometimes it can be very, very easy. And that guy picked up my Spas. I mean, who wouldn't want to pick up the Spas? The Spas is an amazing weapon in this game. The shotgun that I really do like, but even though I know that it's genuinely rubbish, of course everyone knows, is the Olympia. The Olympia is, even though it's really bad, everyone tends to like the gun because of what it is and how it functions. It is genuinely a big pile of rubbish most of the time. I don't mind the stakeout in HS10s. The HS10 I generally sort of dual wield like most people do. And when you see the HS10, generally you don't see it in its singular form. It's mostly being dual wielded, and that's generally how I use it. Because I generally don't, as much as a single one works, it reminds me of a more powerful version of the stakeout sometimes, and it's not as temperamental as a stakeout, because the stakeout is a very, very temperamental gun. Although last night I did pick up a stakeout when I was playing with Cortez, and proceeded to go on a quad feed with it, which it might not sound like much, but for me to land every single every single slug from a shotgun on target and register and kill every single person was quite a first for the stakeout, mostly because the stakeout is a really temperamental gun. It seems like the gun decides when it wants to work and when it doesn't want to work. It can be a really good gun sometimes and then just be a big pile of piffle at other times, but that's generally how it works out. I mean, that's just this game for you as a whole. I mean, the Spas can sometimes kill one shot from further away, and then be like the situation where I died last, where you hit them twice from the same range as you've hit somebody from with one bullet, and they don't die. It's a very, very weird system. I kind of wish the shotguns were more like the Modern Warfare 2 equivalent sometimes. But then everybody would be running the Spas if it was like its Modern Warfare 2 equivalent, and pretending that they were some sort of badass. That's why I like the shotguns, because not everybody runs them, and you can completely throw people off guard with them, because they generally sort of tend to think that the shotguns aren't as amazing as they are. If people are wondering what class, you've probably seen it a couple of times, why I'm running this class the way I am. Marathon is just so I can get around the map. Flat Jacket is because, to me, Flat Jacket is basically the most important first perk. I mean, as much as people use sort of Ghost to be aggressive sometimes, most of the time, of course, they're not. But Flat Jacket is pretty much for domination and not getting blown up by people like that, who are pretty much trying to noob tube people to death. There's also, the steady aim part issue is generally I would run sleight of hand, but of late I've found that steady aim on this gun is far more effective for me personally than running with sleight of hand, because I generally tend to land my shots more often than not, and they generally do seem to kill within 2 or 3. Sort of like just back there where I could have easily died. But of course with that I didn't die, and then I got the kill, and then I managed to get to my Blackbird, and then I think I get to my dogs. This is the bit where I play sneaky mode, basically, where I wait for people to come to me, because I'm up in their spawn and I don't want to push up too quickly and annoy myself. And I tried to get to the point to get a second flag capture, but I'm denied right there by my teammates. It's not too much of an issue. But I was shouting, I was basically rushing them, going, nah, I want that flag. But of course I didn't get it. But this gameplay is coming up to an end. Thank you very much for watching and listening. Once again, I'd like to thank iPlayCard for allowing me to post this. And if you enjoyed this, please come and check out my channel. The link to my channel should be in the description below. Anyway, thank you very much for watching and listening, and thanks. Bye.